Welcome to another episode of Battling with Stu. We're continuing turn 3 on the long march. It has been quite some time. Greg and I were engaged in the second scenario of this, and this is our personal leader campaign game. Just a refresher. If you want to go watch the other videos, kind of freshen you up on the game, that's fine. This is just going to be a log file synopsis, simply because the technical issues or what have you. I do have a log file. I'm just going to step through a log file to get you up to speed on what turn we're on now. We're on finished turn 3, his movement phase, my fire phase, and again it's the Chinese versus the Chinese, the Jimin GMT versus the Red Chinese. Very interesting scenarios. Great part of the history that I know nothing about, and it's in the early to mid late 30s in China. So a very critical part in their history. And the fights are very interesting, very different from what you're normally going to have in your typical ASL game. So that's what attracts me to these scenarios. I like kind of underdog, kind of off-brand type, the brand, the American, Russian, German sort of scenarios. This is definitely different, and it will get you thinking and behaving differently in terms of just using your infantry. So we'll see what happens in this next installment. Not very long, just to catch you up with speed. Hopefully we'll continue it and be able to finish the game for you guys. But just a little bit of ASL action for you, for those guys that don't see a lot of videos. So thank you for watching, and hope you enjoy. Thanks for returning to another episode of Battling with Stu. This is continuing Resisting the Constriction, my game with Greg. We've had a little hiatus on this one, but I did have a log, did find the log file for this. It is starting his turn 3. Greg's aircraft, the Chinese aircraft, have come and gone. They've done their damage, strafing the trenches as such. And so let me just give you another heads up on the victory conditions. Pretty much the Chinese, the KMT Chinese, win a game in by accumulating 20 victory points or more, and they get 2 for each controlled pillbox or hut, as you see on the map. The huts are in the back. All huts are these here, so they get 2 points for each non-destroyed hut, and huts are easy to destroy relatively, but they also get points for the pillboxes and 1 point for the trenches. So trenches are valuable. They go from top to bottom. I think there's probably 8 or 9 trenches, 3 or 4, I think 3 pillboxes. Yeah, 3 pillboxes. So there's a number of points to be had. And again, just refreshing down here, the Chinese have a difficulty in the bottom row simply because they don't have any active leaders. They do have a ton of units, but they don't have any active leaders, and the morale's 6. My units have just come on the board for the Red Chinese, and they've taken up some defensive positions behind these hedgerows, the bottom, and in the woods, and in most of the trenches. And so, as you see here, 2 squads, concealment here. He's not in the trench. 2 squads on a leader. We have some stack units in the back. I got my little commissar on Guo. And Shen's in the back as well. A couple of broken units interspliced between all this mess. Pretty much it's about 1 to 2 units per hex. Got a medium machine gun here that's damaged or malfunctioned with a crew on it, and my best leader with Kwong. So, and the Russian sniper and the -2 acquisition from his nice little 75 artillery pieces, which are out of smoke and AP. So they won't be able to really damage the pillboxes because they have no AP on there. They're gonna have to hit them with full firepower. I mean, 12 plus 3 is nothing to spit at, or actually the plus 3 is irrelevant, but it's harder to hit, much harder to hit with that plus 3 TEM. So, but he can do real good damage on the trenches, as he has been doing. Zhen up here has got a couple broken units, but a couple squads. We got a squad in the pillbox. So we have a enemy crew and CC outside that pillbox, and another unit up here. He has a decent entourage. His best leader is Choi. Up at the top, 9-1, great leader. We've got Sun, 6+1, still active. Hey, any leader's a good leader. He CX these guys. His best units are up here, so they're gonna try and make their way to these trenches. It's looking tough. Looking tough for the Chinese. He's got to get some good rolls, and I've got a front down here. So let's. I think we've gone through the prep fire phase. He's fired the prep fire, and it's come over here to Quang, and with no effect, I think. So we'll step through the log. I believe he goes directly to movement phase. That's probably my morale check. I think it defensive fired on somebody, to be honest with you. Generates a sniper, and then the sniper goes off the board, and then comes back to the unit right there, pins him. His units move up on the bottom. That unit automatically gets DM'd because it's adjacent to an enemy unit. And then I first fire those units. I'm pretty sure they lose concealment, obviously. Oops, no, I don't want to do that. Page down is not what I want. So 4 casual reduces, and I think he takes a 2 morale check or something like that. So he explodes. Instant casualties there. Other units are creeping up. And again, these are very, very low charts. We're talking 2 -2s, 1 -1s, that sort of thing. So very low charts, and unfortunately, I continue to get like 6s and things like that. So like 5 right there. You know, even at long range, 5 -1. You know, I mean, a 1 -2 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you roll a 5 on that, it comes down to a 3, which is pretty damaging. So, unfortunately, he's taking some damage directly on the right in the beginning. You know, IFT 10, and the reason why I'm firing some of these guys here is just to lay down loads of residual. So the rest of his units, if they want to move up through that plowed fields as conscripts, which is very difficult. So it's 1.5 movement factors per hex. And so the conscripts can only go through 2 of those. So pretty much he's got a 2 hex movement throughout the movement phase. So the conscripts are having a tough time. I'm pinning lots of guys, and he's just trying to make his way up. Moving across. I'm just shooting 1 guy at a time on each guy just to put tons of residual. And that's a 2-shot. Because you have to fire 2 guys. Both these guys down here have to fire at 2 firepower to get that 1 residual. So if you fired 1 firepower, it won't leave any residual. So 1 -2, even though it's a decent shot, you know, it's all good and dandy. It's not going to leave any residual. So I need to fire 2 units per residual hex, and if he could probably just try to bypass that. So you see my little mini wall of residual, and so it's laid down pretty decently. It could be better, but I can only fire at the hexes that he's moving. He moves the guy in a W7. I pin him down, create a fire lane with my LMG up there on the opposite side. So we're going to do it on the W10 side. So in case he wants to move these units to W10, that fire lane, as you see by the denotation of the arrow here, covers that hex side. So it's an alternate hex screen to the right-hand side. And that's with the LMG, so it's going to have to leave 1 residual firepower. So, what do I roll in this guy? Oh, there's my little one. This little overlay is pretty cool for Vassal. It's pretty good. I was playing with it. I didn't use it that often. I don't use fire lanes very often, but... oh, did I do it there? Maybe I did it on the wrong side. Okay. Oh, okay. I probably put it on the wrong side. That's probably better on the other side, but this way, in case other units... come here into X9 or W8 in case these guys charge and go straight down the row to W8, then we can cover that, so we don't have to worry about, you know, subsequent first fire or whatever like that. The fire lane's already down. It's unlikely he's going to enter my hex, and so we just fire the LMG, boom, and that's a good example of a fire lane, especially a 1 firepower. And in this game, 1 firepower is not bad at all. So we continue on there. Oops. Again, that fire lane overlay, brilliant. Whoever designed that, hats off to you, my friend. So I roll a 9. He looks like a 5. Unfortunately he fails his morale check. You know, the 5s against the -2 is just ridiculous. So he's having a tough time. I get a 7 -1. I think he's just assault moving. 6 + 1. Again, 4. just a tough shots. And that guy Choi jumps out in the open here. I think it's subsequent first fire, this unit here. Maybe final fire, I don't know. But I think I roll a 4. Four's pretty rough. Oh, but it's not. Maybe it's pin task check, so looks like those guys get pinned. And then maybe I subsequent first final fire on him. And then the 3 is pretty main. So yeah, Choi takes a wound, unfortunately. Other units are moving up again through the fire lane, taking the residual. I roll 6, which is great on a 2 residual because it's -2. Unfortunately, that unit breaks again. Even with the 7 morale, I'm just rolling slightly below averages on the 7s, and he's just it's just taking it. It's just tons of casualties. So but he's got enough units that he should be able to withstand some of this. You know, unfortunately, all of his units. It'd be great if all of his units weren't to break, so he'd have somebody in the front to actually threaten me a little bit more. But yeah, that's the way it goes, I guess, sometimes. So the units, I think he does in the back. Oh, we're firing some guards. He's firing back at me down here, creating multiple fire groups with everything he's got. All these guys are gonna be halved, but when you've got like 8 guys together, I think he manages an 8 firepower chart. And unfortunately, I think he rolls like a 10. I think he gets another 8 firepower chart, rolls a 7. Again, he needs to have low rolls for that just to get some breaks on my guys. Because if my guys break, he can continue to DM them the entire time. Most of the time, a 2+2 shot will be enough to DM the units and keep them DM'd forever and ever. Let's look at the 2+2. So he could roll a 3 on the 2+2 chart, right? And therefore qualify for a normal morale check on a 3 dice roll. So therefore he'll keep everybody DM'd with a 2+2. Very important. And most of his units can be able to manage that. So anybody who goes in the trench, you know, is rough. Again, the artillery, the trenches do not block LOS. So these guys in the back are artillery shots. These are targets of opportunity for artillery. So I can't really just run up freely in the trenches or leave the trenches. They're all going to be in open ground. So I wanted to kind of do that. I kind of wanted to move these guys, just like rush on the backside, you know, take this guy and move him back over here to reinforce. Can't really do that. The guns are too powerful, and I have no LMGs. I've got nothing in range. Nothing can fire that far except for this LMG, and there's no way I'm going to waste the shot on that. You know, it's a 1+2. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I have to use the LMG's close range. So for all intents and purposes, his artillery is immune to any fire that I have. Is immune to any fire. And that range isn't that far in a normal situation. But his artillery can fire freely. And with the rate of fire 1, he just needs to get these bad boys going. And then it's going to spell curtains for the for my red Chinese. So more units are moving up top. Oh yeah, these guys can't route, so they both surrender, unfortunately. And when I surrender, I go ahead and get the automatic deploy because the 2 units is going to be I just want to take them in there and then get that free deploy going, so I have another unit in case some of my guys don't break. So when they break, I lose 3 firepower. If one guy breaks, I'll still have 1 firepower. That means 2 firepower -2 when he's adjacent. You have to scrap every single firepower out of these Chinese scenarios. You have to. And both those guys kind of advance up. This is advanced phase. Just kind of moves guys up. And then we close combat phase. Comes and goes. Oh, it's the top. So Greg rolls an 8 for his crew and the leader here. And unfortunately, I roll a 3. So that's a 1-to-1 against this 4. So those guys are eliminated. His best leader. I actually had forgotten about that through this log file. That's crazy. That's some serious damage. Raleigh comes and goes. Try to repair the medium machine gun. I roll my classic 6. That thing is gone. And he gains 2 victory points. Because in these Long March series, machine guns are worth 2 victory points. And crews manning them are also worth 2. So losing machine guns like that by breaking them, yeah, it's two free victory points. Not good. Not good for the Gipper. So again, I think Swin Greg. He tries to self-rally a guy or two, probably. But I think his leader. He tried to rally his leader. 6+1 leader. He needs. It's the only leader he's got, I think, left. I do a couple morale check. Fire point blank. Rolls 6. He rolls 8 morale. Obviously breaks. Prep fire some more guys. Breaks him. Just looking grim. Prep fire these guys, just in the open. Guys in the open. Don't seem to get a lot of shots. Broke one guy. He's adjacent. So, but everyone's just firing. Just his bolt action rifles are cracking all day long. His artillery try and pop shots in the back of Guo. Back on this guy right here. So, to hit, actually, he's got a rate of fire. So, a 7 must have missed, I guess, due to the range. And the 9 missed as well. So, I think he should have acquisition, to be honest with you. I'm not sure where his acquisition went. Maybe his acquisition, I don't know. I just don't know. The 10 roll was probably through a shot on Kwong. So he probably missed him by like 1, I think. Again, he defensive fires on me. I do a 3 morale check, 7 morale check. So one guy's pinned, one guy makes it. Snake Eyes, and then these guys get blown up. He gets a good roll. Snake Eyes is really good. It's really what he needed. So I got 11 and a 7. So the ELR of underlying morale splits them into half squads, and they all just explode. 5-5. Those guys are gonna be hard to rally. To be honest, he's got to get out of LOS really quickly. So again, nice good rolls. That must be random selection there. Fukowers. And then he does a couple other infantry fire table attacks with his conscripts at the nearest units, probably to no avail. Artillery piece swivels over there, gets a 10 to miss, and that's pretty key. As long as he keeps pounding me with those artilleries, he should be fine. Infantry fire table attacks, just 10s just aren't going to do it. Let me move this up a little bit. I route these units back here into the trench because it's the woods, because it gives him rally terrain, and he's in a trench, so, and out of LOS to most of these units over here. So hopefully we can rally those units at our first opportunity. And then, so again, more that guy has to surrender, and those guys have to run away. So those guys run up, they break, and they surrender. I'm pretty sure we're doing that right. Pretty sure. I'm just adjusting guys here on the line during my advance phase. Pounding guys in trenches, moving them up bit by bit. Making sure, see right there, if we go into the trench here, leader comes down to rally. We go into the trench here, he won't be able to see anybody until they become adjacent to him, because if you're in a trench and there is a wall or hedge next to you, you will not see anyone adjacent, or you not will see anyone past the wall or hedge, and you can only see adjacent. But one guy is going to be safe. That's just so I don't get blown up and lose both units, and then he just rushes all of his units in here. Once he gets to this point, once he gets 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, he gets 4 or 5 squads in this area here, it's pretty much all over, because then he can just take his time firing on me. But that's the way it goes. Rearrange some things there, move some prisoners around. I think we got a guy up here. He's just moving back with prisoners. Actually, just moving outside with prisoners. He had double whammy with the prisoners on that one. Hopefully he won't break. If he breaks and the prisoners remain active, he's going to be in a world of hurt. But most of his units have been destroyed up there, to be honest. And so that ends the Red Army's turn 3. And we will be heading into turn 4. I don't know when. Again, this is just a log file, just to keep you guys, you know, a real quickie on just him advancing up in the front. He's got another turn to go. He's got to rally his leader. And the slew of units he has. He's only got one active leader up here, unfortunately. and it is 6+1. And he has his personal leader. This is his personal leader, how many points he's actually missed. So we're doing the personal leader campaign game as well. I've already been killed. My leader's been killed quite early, and his personal leader is still active in the game, but broken but active. So hopefully he can get these artillery pieces going in his turn, blast some of these strongholds, but unless he blasts those strongholds, and we still got 1, 2, 3, 4 turns left. I mean, if he breaks through, he can possibly get those, you know, victory points in the back. So hopefully we'll be able to play Greg soon enough, and looking forward to it. Always enjoy games with Greg. But again, this is just a log file I've had in the back burner, and hopefully we'll be able to get in this scenario and finish it up and head on to some more long march scenarios. I kind of enjoy the low firepower and large volumes of units in open ground. As odd as it seems. As odd as it seems, these are actually quite intriguing scenarios. Again, just boiling down just to the raw machine guns, fire lanes, and just masses of units. Instead of having to, you know, worry about buildings and everyone surviving in buildings because they have maximal terrain in the middle of city fights. There's no terrain out here. You've just got to grit it, bear it, run, get good shots, and take advantages of any weaknesses the Germans, not Germans, but the enemy may have. So that's what makes these scenarios intriguing, especially the first one. I really, really enjoy the first one. This is our second go around, first time with aircraft. So pretty stagnant defense, so it's kind of on my side. I just have to adjust as my defense weakens, but hopefully his artillery pieces can go off and then really create a hole. But thanks for watching. Again, short scenario, not a lot happens in this one. He pretty much just has to rush forward. He's lost a lot of units so far in shots and surrenders and things like that, so hopefully he can turn it around and then have a good rally point. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Vaseline with Stu.